when everyone around you is saying goodbye. Life is like a game of nerves, isn't it? It's a game that we're allowed to play by society until society itself starts viewing you through like piteous eyes and saying, oh no, you're not allowed to play the game anymore, you need to sit and do nothing. But society's not got a right to tell you what to do, when to do it and how to live and when to slow down, because you've done your bit, you've contributed to society, and hopefully if you've done it right you'll have contributed positively to society. You'll have made a difference, and you can still make a difference. Kick against society when they tell you you're an old person, because one day you'll say goodbye to those around you. Just like walking out of a door for the last time. There were only ever 3 of us, and I've spoken about the other 2 before, but I've never mentioned the names, and I will now because I know they won't mind. Stuart and Keith. And they're gone. Stuart went in 2008 and Keith left about 2020, I think. Stuart died of overeating. Keith died in part, I believe, of overdrinking. I remember arguing with Stuart and shouting into his face a few weeks before he died, saying, you've got to cut back on this, you've got to stop, you're killing yourself. And he said, look, Nige, I love cooking. He was a fabulous chef. That's what he did for a living. He said, I love cooking, I love food, and if it kills me, then so be it. And it did. But I know that he was still enjoying life when he left. Keith lived abroad for many years. So I didn't see him for a while. I only saw him when he came home visiting his kids. And he was the same old Keith. And it was only after he left, it's only after he said goodbye that I finally found out through angry phone calls of people who should have been angry with him for things that had happened in the past, for divorces that ended in vitriol, but when he'd gone, were angry because they'd tried so hard to get him back home so that he didn't go down this path, but it had been hidden from me. And they went, and that left me. But we were friends. You know those kind of friends you have that are tight? We'd grown up since we were little kids in short pants, digging dens in woodland and fist fighting over girls and electric train sets. We'd grown up till we were old enough to drink. We'd gone to school together. Then we'd gone out drinking together. Then we'd been at each other's weddings. Then we had become godparents to their kids. Then we'd supported them through the breakup of their marriages. And then we had all returned back to going out drinking. And we'd kept in touch. That kind of tight, the kind of people you can read like a book because you've known every emotion they've had since they were little children. You look back on photographs, but photographs are 2D of when we were kids. And you don't get the same feeling as you do when you can punch a solid mass or put your arm around somebody in a kind of one of these socially acceptable companionship ways. And just like my dad, I can only just remember the voices. I don't know whether I can really. I kind of reach out to try to remember what they sounded like. And it's going all the time. And now I can look back and I can't actually remember the sound. All I can remember now is the phrases, because we all use our own particular phrasing and way of talking. I can remember that. And I hope that stays with me. But even that will diminish over time. Because they've said goodbye. They've gone through that door for the very last time. They've waved goodbye and walked away. And the longer you live, the more often you have to say goodbye. The longer you live, the more often you have to say goodbye. And there's the rub. There's the rub. Living a long life is great. Living a long life is a privilege. Living a long life gives you time to pack everything in. Even when you're old, crock like me, you can still pack things in every day. I can still come out here and experience life and the beauty of nature and the friendship of people in the street and all the experiences that goes with interacting with your fellow man. I can still enjoy all that. But there's the rub. There's the rub. You just keep saying goodbye. And you say goodbye until there's no one left to say goodbye to. There's no one left to say, do you remember when? I've got one friend now, one true friend. And she's beautiful and I love her and I know that she loves me. But we've only known each other a few years. And it's a bond, it's a strong bond, but it isn't that I never knew her growing up. We never had those childhood arguments that you think are so clever and so strong in your immature little mind, that you think you're right and you're wrong. And then over years, because you're growing up together, you mature along with your friends, so that your views change. So that those arguments still continue because friends should argue. One of the great things about true friendship is that you can argue without animosity. You can argue and then go for a pint. And as you grow up and you grow older, those arguments become more solid from experience of the world and political views that you're adopting and your experiences in life. But you all grow up together. So they are just as important and just as relevant as the arguments you had when you were 7 years old. And so it goes on through life, those true friends. And then when they start saying goodbye, you accept it, because we accept that when we reach a certain age, like I am now, that people do die, people do go. It does happen, it's just nature, it's what happens, it's normal. They say goodbye, and do you know the awful thing about it is? You're the one who has to keep saying goodbye. The ones that go don't have to say goodbye. They don't have the memories. They just blink out like a light. And it's you that's left to say goodbye and wave them off on that final journey. And then they get less and less. That friend group gets less and less and less and less. And if you're like me, who is the only one left, who's going to wave you off? Your kids? It's probably about it. Not the friends, not the friends, your family. You can choose your friends, you can't choose your family, they say, don't they? So your friends will wave you off, and that's a love, that's a familial bond. But not that friendship bond, that deep bond that's been made up through experiences over decades. It's a privilege to grow old, it's a privilege to have a long life, but the ones who go before you never have to experience that wrenching, do they? That counting down the numbers, because you do as you get older, you do, because you know what's happening. You know what's happening around you, you know that your time will come and it won't be that long, because if everybody else is going around you, that isn't some kind of odd occurrence, some kind of illness that's going round. That's just counting down. That's just the world saying, right, you've reached your time now. Everybody has. Some of you will go now, some of you will go later, but you won't go too long ago. It's not too far in the future, so make the most of it. And then you go. Sometimes old age can feel like you're standing on a cliff top, looking out over an angry sea, at a distant horizon where the sun's setting. And you turn to say, can you see that? But there's nobody there. We shall see you on the flip. Peace and love.